The problem with Bola Tinubu is that he thinks I'm the one that offended him. I didn't offend him, he offended me.
What did you do to him?
No, it's not for television, that one. But he offended me. And he's full of himself, and he thinks that because he's now a so-called president.
Is he so-called or is the president?
So-called.
That's the president of the Federal Republic.
I believe he didn't win the election.
What makes you think so? Because you supported Peter Obi?
Yes.
So that's why you think.
The results available to us at that time believe he didn't win the election.
But the court says otherwise.
The court, of course, you know who they are.
The court stands for justice.
Yeah, the court stands for justice in court.
So you don't believe in the courts?
I believe in the courts. What can you do? They are there. They are supposed to do their duties. They are doing their duties. It's not about believing.
So if you don't believe Bola Tinubu won the election, the court in the first, the result at the poll says he won. The court in the first instance says he won. Yes. The court in the second instance says he won.
Yes, but the facts on the ground said he didn't win.
Who now won? Atiku?
Peter Obi won that election.
That came third?
According to the result that was announced, not according to the true results.
So how do you determine who won an election?
We have the data now. Look, we had monitors on the field. We had agents on the field. We collected our data. We know our results. We know the results that were coming in from the field. We can see clearly the point at which they were altered. We can see clearly, you know.
Was he altered in Anambra? Was he altered in Abia? Was he altered in Enugu? Peter Obi won landslide. He won over 90% of the votes in that region.
Yes.
He beat Bola Tinubu in Lagos.
Yes.
He had huge votes in the North Central.
It doesn't mean there are no states where election was conducted. There are. You know, when you do rigging, you rig only where you are strong. And because...
Is Peter Obi strong in Lagos? That is Bola Tinubu's state.
Yes.
As a politician, you know what it means when you lose your home top.
I know what it means. They didn't understand the demography of Lagos very well at that time.
So it was a shocker.
It was a shocker. They underplayed the demography of Lagos, and it shocked them, and the demography showed. Subsequent elections, they worked on that demographic issue. That's why there was voter suppression in the gubernatorial election, and in this last election, local government. The demography took them by surprise.
Would you still be supporting Peter Obi in 2027?
I think they say a day in politics is long. Things have changed. The parameters that we were used to evaluate our candidate in 2023 is going to be different from this one. Things have moved on, so we'll see when we get there.
Did you hear Babachir Lawal say clearly, unequivocally, that Peter Obi won the 2023 election? Of course, this is not the first time he's saying it, but he's only echoing everything that the entire world knows, that Peter Obi didn't lose the 2023 election, rather that he won it and Tinubu rigged the election. You've heard Aisha Yusufu talk about it. Nigerians have talked about it. Kennedy Okonkwo has talked about it. Dele Faratimi has said it unequivocally, because the data on ground actually showed that Obi won the 2023 election, but it was rigged. The criminality, the crime INEC committed against Nigeria in 2023, it will come out to be full-blown at some point later, because the likes of El Rufai would have to confess. They would have to confess what happened in the middle of the night, who made those plans. So the political elite knew exactly what happened. That's why Babachir Lawal can call the sitting president of Nigeria the so-called president, and is full of himself. Imagine, one of the most powerful presidents in the world is the president of Nigeria. And then a politician says he's a so-called president because they knew what happened in the middle of the night. And according to INEC's results, whatever INEC decided to announce to Nigerians, it said Bola Tinubu won the election in 2023. It makes me laugh, because they had to announce the results in the middle of the night when Nigerians were sleeping. You can see that thing that happened in 2023. The criminality of the things that happened in 2023. Another thing Babachir Lawal mentioned was that you rig where you know you're strong. You see the reason why they're forcing governors to, join the APC? Because they need to make the rigging easy. Because they understood that in 2023, they couldn't rig all the places. because the people's turnout and the fact the opposition was there was what they saw they couldn't rig the election. The only reason they got away with Rivers State was because Wike jumped ship and joined them. Apart from Wike joining ship and joining them, Bola Tinubu would not have been announced as the president of Nigeria today. So that's why they're forcing other governors from the South region or the southern region to join the APC so that when Nigerians come out to vote en masse, they can disenfranchise them, they can suppress their vote. Look at what happened in Edo State. I said this before. Edo State was a marker, was a template of what was to come. After the Edo State election, this Lagos State by-election or the local government election that happened, what happened? Massive rigging, massive voter suppression. And they didn't even follow the proper guidelines anyway. And now they want to do another one in Rivers State, using the sole administrator to put the system in place so that the rigging will be more in 2027. But what they don't really realize is, have not fully come to understand, is that Nigerians will not, this time in 2027, Nigerians have, woken up to get rid of this corruption that was perpetuated by APC, INEC put together. Now, you heard what Babachir Lawal said about the court. The courts are there. But the court is also part of the problem because they put all these parameters in place. They'll put the rigging machine in place. They'll rig the election. They'll say, go to court. And the court who's already ready to now say, no, whatever you bring in, we will not accept it. He won. The destruction of Nigeria. I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. This Bola Tinubu's presidency has to happen to destroy Nigeria. And the existence of this Bola Tinubu's presidency only came to being by the destruction of our already difficult and terrible constitution. So having him as the president of Nigeria, that obviously exemplifies the fact that you have to live outside the constitution for this government to operate. That's why they can suspend a sitting governor and the National Assembly accept it, and then the court will not hear it. After that, it become academic. That's why Akpabio can suspend a sitting senator that was elected like himself and say they're disciplining her because they have their rules guide. See that? So again, many of the reasons why Nigerians believe Peter Obi won, the results on the ground at the time, even the one published by organizations and websites, maybe I think BBC or something like that, premium types to cover it. Everything showed that Peter Obi won the election. From the, before the election happened, the youth support, the massive grassroots mobilization, the manipulation of results. That's what Babachir Lawal said. They know the point where the election results were changed. You can see the widespread turnout. If you look at the 2023 election, once they realized that Tinubu had lost the election, remember what happened in Lagos. I would want you to go back and remember. The current governor of Lagos State, who otherwise did not campaign, all of a sudden ran out. Their APC lawmakers started going out, and they then brought out, masquerades and thugs to help, suppress the votes. Because initially they already felt that it was going to be a sweet and easy win for Bola Tinubu until he lost the election. And I said, okay, Nigerians are not ready. Before you knew it, they called out masquerade. And before you know it, they mobilized thugs, the likes of MC Oluomo, started, fighting the people and making sure that the people who were not Yorubas don't vote in Lagos. And then the Inspector General Police, this same Inspector General Police downplayed it. And that's what they want to do in 2027. And we won't like it. We won't let it. We will speak up. We will continue to talk about it to make sure we have a better Nigeria that works. So I want you to put in the comment section what you think about what Babachir Lawal said. You also agree that Peter Obi won the 2023 election? Or do you also agree that, according to Tinubu's people, Peter Obi lost? What is your take? What do you think 2027 will look like? Put your comments in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe if you've not done so. And also recommend this channel to others. I will catch you up in the next video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.